Pediatric acupuncture may sound like a little too much for a child, but it's not exactly what you might expect.
It's a little bit different, and here to show us how it works is licensed acupuncturist at Jade Star Acupuncture and Wellness, Chilan Mustaine, and his daughter, Yao Mustaine. It's nice to have you both here.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Such a pleasure to see you. So the question on people's minds immediately when they think acupuncture and kids is, are you really putting needles, a bunch of needles in a kid?
Typically, we do not put a lot of needles in children. As they get older, the skin begins to change to get closer to more adult skin around teenage years, and then that's when we start to use needles. These are the tools here I brought with me. These are what I use every day when treating children. So there's a lot of techniques from using these tools to scratch, tap, rub on points, and then also using magnets.
Well, it's very intriguing, especially when you see some of the tools here, and I know that you're going to give a demonstration with your daughter, and she's done this since she was 2 and she's 11 now, so I'm excited to hear the reaction when you get these things done. So real quickly before we start that, how old can you start?
Any time after the first couple weeks.
Okay.
Once they're born and they kind of get settled in the world, then we can start working on them.
So why don't you start working on her, and then we'll ask you more questions as you go, and you can walk us through it. Sound
okay?
Okay.
And there's a lot to know. I mean, the tools are different than you might expect, right? I mean, when you're getting a typical acupuncture treatment, it is a series of needles, but this is quite different when you're doing it to a child.
Yeah, and so these are tools that are specifically designed for pediatrics, but I also use these on adults who are kind of needle phobic. And so I'm using the flat edge here just to scratch and gently smooth along the acupuncture channels.
Okay, and that's very gentle, and that probably doesn't feel like anything, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like
What does it feel like?
It feels nice and cool, and it feels relaxing because it's like, it just feels really good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So you've had this for a while. So, and I know you can't remember obviously when you were 2 years old what it was like for the first time, but so after you get this treatment from your dad, how do you feel?
I feel relaxed and calm, and I feel better, especially if I'm feeling sick. Like, there's a time that I was vomiting, and my dad actually helped me with pediatric treatment, and I felt so much better after, and I stopped vomiting.
Wow, okay, and so obviously it also made you very well spoken to get this treatment. And so Chilan, what kind of ailments are we talking about here in children that you can treat with this?
So most commonly I'm treating respiratory stuff, because kids, especially little kids, they don't know how to blow their nose, right? They don't know how to spit out the phlegm when they cough. And so those kind of things are like the most common things that kids come in for. But I've treated kids for anything from ADD to autism, and had really good results treating those kind of conditions.
Wow, I think a lot of people out in the community, in terms of the autistic community, we're trying to find the cure and the remedy and the reason behind it. What are some of the people who come to see you say about the transformation maybe that they have in a child?
So sometimes children will become more functional, or maybe particular issues that they've had, like it could be bedwetting or social anxiety, those kind of things will reduce. Appetite gets better for kids who have stomach issues, less phlegm, getting sick less often.
Okay, so take us to the next step now.
Okay, so first I was just kind of brushing to smooth things out, and then I've already diagnosed her before we came in, so I know what points to do. So I'm choosing the points the same as I would with needles on an adult, but instead of inserting the needles, I'm just holding the tool to give pressure.
It's just like a pressure. Okay,
to relieve pressure. And what's that feel like, Yao?
It doesn't really feel like anything. It just feels like a little bit cold and a little bit relaxing, and yeah.
Relaxing is the key word I keep hearing, and that's sort of the idea, right? You're helping to relieve some of these tensions you may not know you even have. And it's important to say too that, is it every acupuncturist that can do pediatric care?
Everybody is trained at least in one class in acupuncture school for pediatrics, but this is something I've really specialized in. I've taken a lot of classes beyond school, and I was lucky that I had my daughter when we were in school so I could practice, and so she started daycare at the same time that I was learning pediatrics. So when kids start daycare, they're sick one thing after another. So I got a ton of practice in at the beginning, and so I really, I took to it because I had her to help me out.
So if somebody's watching right now and they say, oh my gosh, I've got this 3-year-old that can be kind of like a three-nager and I really like to do this, what is the hardest part about working on a child, and what can people expect? What would you tell them?
Sometimes the children are difficult, but usually it's not the hardest part. The hardest part is if they bring a sibling That's
wow.
usually a problem because there's a sibling rivalry going on and the other sibling wants the attention.
Right.
And it's hard to give the attention to the patient that needs to have the attention and then divide that with their sibling or their parent.
Right.
Because the parent also wants attention. Right. And so I try and get all my talking with the parents done ahead of time so that once we're actually in the room, then I can give the child the attention that they deserve so that they feel paid attention to, because a lot of times little children don't feel paid attention to.
Right. They're constantly seeking that out, and then they can get the full benefit of the treatment that you're doing. Jilan, thank you so much for being here today.
You
and
too,
you too. And right now, Jade Star Acupuncture is offering a $99 new patient special, which is normally $120. That includes a 90-minute appointment. For more information, you can head over to jadestaracupuncture.com, or you can call 520-881-0827.